The Zorlan flagship shook violently as explosions rocked its hull. Captain Zarnok's voice boomed over the chaos. All hands, brace for impact. We are not going down without a fight. The once proud fleet now drifted, aimless and crippled, far from the safety of Zorlan space. Engineer Vlek's tentacles trembled as he reported to Captain Zarnok, his voice heavy with despair. The hyperdrive is irreparably damaged, Captain. We're stranded. Zarnok's mandibles clicked in frustration. Curse these humans and their relentless patrols, he growled. We underestimated them, and now we are paying the price. The bridge was a scene of controlled chaos. Officers worked frantically at their consoles, trying to keep the ship's remaining systems functional. The tension was palpable, a mix of fear and anger permeating the air. A sudden blip on the sensor array caught Zarnok's attention. What is that? He demanded. Vlek's eyes widened as he scanned the data. It's a human ship, Captain. They're hailing us. Zarnok's eyes narrowed. On screen, the main display flickered to life, revealing a human with a scruffy beard and a worn cap. He grinned widely. This is Captain Jack Thompson of the SS Fixer. Looks like you folks could use a hand. Zarnok bristled. Why would humans help us? He spat. Jack's grin didn't waver. Well, I'm a mechanic. Fixing things is what I do. Besides, you're stranded in our backyard. Can't just leave you floating out here. Zarnok exchanged a glance with Vlek, who shrugged helplessly. We have no choice, Captain, Vlek whispered. We can't repair the ship ourselves. Zarnok's gaze returned to the screen. Very well, human. We accept your offer. But know this, we do not trust you. Jack laughed, a sound both warm and confident. Fair enough. Let's get to work. The SS Fixer docked with the Zorlan flagship, and Jack, along with his team of mechanics, boarded the alien vessel. They were met with wary stares from the Zorlan crew, but Jack paid them no mind. He was here to do a job. As Jack examined the hyperdrive, his eyes lit up with excitement. Oh, this is a beauty. I've never seen tech like this before. Vlek couldn't hide his surprise. You think you can fix it? Jack winked. Watch and learn, buddy. The human mechanics moved with practiced efficiency, their hands and tools a blur of activity. Jack's upbeat attitude was infectious, and slowly, the Zorlan crew began to hope. Despite their initial distrust, the Zorlan found themselves drawn to the humans' confidence and skill. Captain Zarnok observed from a distance, his eyes sharp and calculating. He couldn't afford to let his guard down, not with his crew's lives at stake. Yet, there was something undeniably compelling about these humans. As the hours turned into days, the repairs progressed steadily. The Zorlan watched in amazement as the humans tackled each challenge with ingenuity and determination. Jack's positive outlook seemed unshakable, even in the face of setbacks. One night, as the crew took a rare moment to rest, Zarnok approached Jack. Why are you doing this? He asked, his tone a mix of curiosity and suspicion. What do you gain from helping us? Jack wiped his hands on a rag and looked Zarnok in the eye. You know, in space, we're all just floating in the same void. Doesn't matter where you're from or what you look like. We help each other out because that's what keeps us going. Zarnok was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly. Perhaps there is more to humans than we believed. Just as progress seemed steady, an unexpected malfunction caused a major setback. The hyperdrive sparked and sputtered, and Jack's expression turned serious. This isn't just damage, he muttered. Someone's tampered with this. The revelation threw the crew into turmoil. Zarnok's voice cut through the chaos. Who would sabotage our ship? Jack and his team redoubled their efforts, working around the clock to counter the sabotage. Vlek's technical expertise became crucial, and he found himself working side by side with Jack, their initial wariness giving way to mutual respect. The tension aboard the Zorlan flagship was palpable. The humans' relentless determination to fix the hyperdrive began to win over even the most skeptical Zorlan. As the repairs neared completion, the sensors picked up a new threat. The urgency in Jack's voice was unmistakable. We need to get this ship moving, now. Zarnok's mandibles clicked in determination, Do whatever it takes, human. Our lives depend on it. The final, most challenging part of the repair lay ahead. The Zorlan crew held their breath as Jack and his team worked frantically, racing against time. The sound of tools and machinery filled the air, a symphony of effort and hope. Finally, with a triumphant shout, Jack stepped back. It's done. The hyperdrive is online. Vlek nearly wept with joy. We can go home. As the SS Fixer prepared to disengage, Zarnok approached Jack one last time. You have our gratitude, Captain Thompson. If ever you find yourself in Zorlan space, you will be welcome. Jack smiled and extended his hand. The humans had been on board for a few hours now, and tensions were still running high. Jack Thompson and his team moved through the corridors of the Zorlan flagship with determined purpose, their tools clinking and clattering in the silence that seemed to envelop the ship. Captain Zarnok's piercing eyes followed their every move, his distrust evident in every twitch of his mandibles. Engineer Vlek shadowed Jack closely, his tentacles occasionally brushing against the walls as he moved. You really think you can fix this? Vlek asked, his voice tinged with both skepticism and a hint of hope. Jack flashed a confident smile. I've seen worse. We just need to figure out the root of the problem. Your tech is impressive, but it's nothing we can't handle with a bit of elbow grease and ingenuity. Vlek watched as Jack began to disassemble a panel, his hands moving with practiced ease. Despite himself, Vlek felt a glimmer of admiration for the human's skill. You seem to have a lot of experience with repairs, he observed. Jack chuckled. Grew up fixing everything from farm equipment to starship engines. My dad always said, if it's broken, there's a way to fix it. Guess that stuck with me. The two worked side by side, gradually falling into a rhythm. As Jack examined the hyperdrive components, he shared stories of his home planet, Earth, and his life before joining the SS Fixer. Vlek listened, fascinated by the tales of human resilience and adaptability. Meanwhile, the Zorlan crew watched with a mix of curiosity and wariness. The humans were unlike any other species they had encountered. Their willingness to help, despite the potential dangers, was both baffling and intriguing. One evening, as the repairs continued, Jack and Vlek found themselves taking a short break in the engine room. Jack wiped sweat from his brow and leaned against the bulkhead. You know, Vlek, I've been thinking, our species might have more in common than we realize. Vlek raised an eyebrow. How so? We both want to explore, to push boundaries, to survive in this vast universe. Sure, we have our differences, but at the core we're not so different, Jack said thoughtfully. Vlek considered this. Perhaps you're right. But trust is not easily earned, especially after everything we've been through. Jack nodded. Trust is built one step at a time. We're here to help, no strings attached. Maybe that's a start. As they resumed their work, the hyperdrive emitted a faint hum, signaling progress. Jack's eyes lit up. See, we're getting there. The days passed, and the humans continued to make headway with the repairs. Slowly, the Zorlan crew's attitude began to shift. They no longer viewed the humans as potential threats, but as valuable allies in a desperate situation. One particularly challenging day, a critical component failed, sending sparks flying. Vlek cursed under his breath as he scrambled to contain the damage. Jack was right beside him, moving with practiced precision to prevent further issues. This is a nightmare, Vlek muttered, frustration evident in his voice. Jack gave him a reassuring pat on the back. Nightmares are just puzzles in disguise. We'll get through this. Despite the setback, their teamwork paid off, and they managed to stabilize the situation. Vlek couldn't help but feel a growing respect for Jack and his crew. They were resourceful, determined, and unflinchingly positive in the face of adversity. Later, as the hyperdrive neared completion, Captain Zarnok called a meeting with Jack and Vlek. His tone was cautious, but less hostile than before. You've made significant progress. I admit, I underestimated your abilities. Jack smiled, leaning back in his chair. We're just getting started, Captain. There's still a lot to do, but we're committed to seeing it through. Zarnok studied Jack for a moment before nodding. Very well. But understand, our trust is not easily given. We will continue to monitor your work closely. Jack nodded. Fair enough. We're here to help, nothing more. As the meeting concluded, Vlek turned to Jack. You've done more than just repair our ship, Jack. You've started to bridge a divide that seemed insurmountable. Jack grinned. One step at a time, right? That night, as the humans and Zorlin continued their work, the ship felt different. The atmosphere was no longer thick with suspicion, but charged with a sense of shared purpose. Conversations flowed more easily, and the barriers between the two species began to crumble. In the final hours of their repair work, an unexpected glitch caused the entire system to flicker. Vlek and Jack worked frantically to diagnose and fix the issue, their movements synchronized in a way that spoke of deep mutual understanding. When the hyperdrive finally roared to life, a cheer erupted from both the Zorlin and human crews. Vlek's eyes shone with relief and gratitude. You did it, Jack. We did it. Jack clapped him on the back. Teamwork, my friend, teamwork. As the SS Fixer prepared to disengage and the Zorlin ship made final preparations to leave, there was a palpable sense of achievement. The humans had not only fixed the hyperdrive, but also helped to mend the rift between their species. Captain Zarnock approached Jack one last time. Your assistance has been invaluable. If our paths cross again, it will be under better circumstances. Jack extended his hand. Looking forward to it, Captain. The atmosphere aboard the Zorlin flagship was tense. The discovery of Sabotage had thrown everyone into disarray. Captain Zarnock's stern visage loomed over the bridge, his eyes sharp with suspicion as he addressed his crew. We must find the saboteur among us, he declared, his voice echoing through the ship. Trust is paramount, and without it, we are doomed. Down in the engineering bay, Jack Thompson and his team were hard at work, their hands moving swiftly over the alien technology. Jack's mind raced as he analyzed the damage. This isn't just battle damage, he said, his brow furrowed. Someone's been tampering with the hyperdrive. Vlek, the Zorlin engineer, stood beside him, his tentacles twitching nervously. Who would do such a thing? He wondered aloud. Jack glanced at him, sensing the fear behind the question. We'll figure it out, he assured Vlek. But first, let's get this ship moving. The Sabotage had introduced new challenges, but it also brought Jack and Vlek closer. They worked side by side, their differences fading as they shared a common goal. Jack admired Vlek's technical knowledge, while Vlek marveled at Jack's creativity and problem-solving skills. As they toiled, Jack noticed Vlek's growing frustration. Hey, take a break, Jack suggested, handing Vlek a tool. You're no good to us if you're too stressed to think straight. Vlek hesitated but then nodded, appreciating the human's understanding. He stepped back, taking a moment to breathe. Thank you, Jack, he said quietly. No problem, buddy. We're in this together, Jack replied with a reassuring smile. The crew's suspicion and unease began to shift as they saw the progress being made. The hyperdrive, once a tangled mess of wires and shattered components, was slowly coming back to life. The Zorlin watched in awe as the humans tackled each obstacle with determination and ingenuity. In the quiet moments between their frantic efforts, Jack and Vlek shared stories of their respective worlds. Jack spoke of Earth's vast oceans and bustling cities, while Vlek described the vibrant colors and intricate architecture of Zorlin's home planet. These exchanges built a bridge of understanding, easing the tension that had initially marred their collaboration. One evening, as they neared the final stages of repair, a sudden alert blared through the ship. The sensors had detected an approaching human patrol ship. Panic rippled through the crew, and Captain Zarnock's voice crackled over the intercom. All hands, prepare for potential engagement. We must be ready. Jack's heart raced. They were running out of time. Vlek, we need to finish this now, he urged, his tone urgent. Vlek's tentacles moved with renewed vigor, and the two engineers worked seamlessly, their movements synchronized by a shared purpose. The hyperdrive's core hummed to life, and lights flickered back on. The ship seemed to hold its breath, teetering on the edge of functionality. As they completed the final adjustments, a Zorlin soldier burst into the engineering bay. Captain Zarnock requests your presence on the bridge, he said, his voice strained. Jack and Vlek exchanged a glance and followed the soldier. The bridge was a flurry of activity, with crew members rushing to their stations. Zarnock stood at the center, his eyes fixed on the view screen showing the incoming human patrol. "Jack, Vlek, what's the status of the hyperdrive?" Zarnock demanded. "It's operational," Jack replied, a hint of pride in his voice. "We're ready to jump." Zarnock nodded, his expression softening slightly. "Good work. Prepare for immediate departure." The tension was palpable as the crew prepared for the jump. The patrol ship drew closer, its weapon systems powering up. Jack felt a bead of sweat trickle down his forehead. This was it. "Engage hyperdrive," Zarnock commanded. The ship shuddered as the hyperdrive activated, and within moments, they were hurtling through space at faster-than-light speeds. The view screen blurred with streaks of stars, and the crew let out a collective sigh of relief. "We did it," Vlek whispered, his eyes wide with disbelief. Jack clapped him on the back. "I knew we could." "Teamwork, right?" Vlek nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "Right?" As the ship stabilized, Captain Zarnock turned to face the humans. "You have our gratitude," he said, his voice resonating with sincerity. "Your skills and bravery have saved us." Jack shook his head. "It was a team effort. We couldn't have done it without Vlek and your crew." Zarnock's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Perhaps there is more to humans than we believe. We have much to learn from each other." Jack grinned. "And we're just getting started." The bridge buzzed with a newfound sense of camaraderie. The humans in Zorlin had faced adversity together and emerged stronger. The once impossible task of repairing the hyperdrive had forged bonds that transcended species and cultures. The Zorlin flagship trembled with renewed life as the hyperdrive began to hum, an almost ethereal sound that contrasted sharply with the tense atmosphere aboard. The crew, both Zorlin and human, moved with frantic precision, their collective focus narrowing to a single goal: survival. Jack Thompson wiped the sweat from his brow, his eyes never leaving the diagnostic screen. "We're almost there, Vlek. Just a few more adjustments." Vlek, his tentacles deftly manipulating the alien control panel, nodded. "We can do this. We must." Captain Zarnock stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the encroaching blip on the sensor array. The human patrol ship was closing in fast, its intentions unknown but undoubtedly hostile. He turned to his crew, his voice steady despite the growing tension. "Prepare for immediate departure. We leave the moment the hyperdrive is functional." As the final connections were made, Jack glanced at Zarnock. "We're ready. But we need to test it. There's no margin for error here." Zarnock's mandibles clicked in agitation. "We have no time for tests. We jump now, or we don't jump at all." Jack exchanged a look with his team. They had pushed the limits of their skills and technology, but this was the moment of truth. "All right, Captain. Engaging the hyperdrive. Everyone, hold on to something." The ship shuddered as the hyperdrive roared to life, its power coursing through the vessel. The stars outside the viewport began to blur, a sign that the drive was working. A collective breath was held as the Zorlan flagship transitioned into hyperspace, the hostile patrol ship left far behind. Zarnock exhaled, a mix of relief and awe in his expression. "We did it. We're in hyperspace." Jack allowed himself a small smile. "Told you we'd get you moving." The bridge erupted in cheers, the relief palpable. For the first time since the attack, there was hope. The humans had not only fixed the unfixable, but had also earned the respect of the Zorlan crew. Zarnock approached Jack, extending a clawed hand. "You have our gratitude, Jack Thompson. Without you and your team, we would be lost." Jack shook his hand firmly. "Just doing what we do best, Captain." "Glad we could help." As the ship stabilized, Zarnock called for a meeting in the main conference room. The human mechanics joined the senior Zorlan officers, the air still charged with the adrenaline of their escape. "We need to discuss our next steps," Zarnock began, his tone serious. "We're safe for now, but we must decide where to go from here." Vlek leaned forward, his voice thoughtful. "Our home planet is still far, but with the hyperdrive operational, we can make the journey. However, we must remain vigilant. The sabotage we discovered suggests internal treachery. Jack nodded. Agreed. And we need to figure out who tampered with the drive in the first place. The room fell silent as the gravity of Vlek's words sank in. Trust had been a rare commodity even before the sabotage was revealed. Now, it was paramount. A message alert flashed on the central display, interrupting the meeting. Zarnok activated the transmission, and a holographic image of the Zorlan High Command appeared. Captain Zarnok, we have received your distress signal. Prepare for a diplomatic mission. We have much to discuss with our new allies. Jack raised an eyebrow. Diplomatic mission? I thought we were just fixing a ship. Zarnok's eyes glinted with a rare amusement. It appears our collaboration has greater implications than we anticipated. The next hours were a flurry of activity as preparations were made for the rendezvous with the Zorlan High Command. Jack's team continued their diagnostics, ensuring that the ship was in top condition for whatever lay ahead. In a rare moment of quiet, Zarnok found Jack in the engine room, double-checking the hyperdrive status. Jack, I want to apologize for my initial distrust. You and your team have shown incredible skill and integrity. Jack looked up, surprised. No need for apologies, Captain. I get it. Trust is earned, not given. Zarnok nodded. Indeed, I hope this is the beginning of a new understanding between our species. As they approached the rendezvous point, the tension on the ship was palpable once more, but it was a different kind of tension, one mixed with anticipation and the faintest hint of optimism. The Zorlan flagship emerged from hyperspace into the orbit of a neutral planet designated for the diplomatic meeting. As they prepared to dock, Jack and his team were invited to join the Zorlan delegation. The symbolism was clear. This was not just about fixing a ship, it was about forging a new path forward. The docking procedure completed, and the airlock hissed open. Jack, Zarnok, and the others stepped out to face the representatives of the Zorlan High Command. A murmur of surprise rippled through the assembly at the sight of the human mechanic standing alongside the Zorlan officers. A high-ranking Zorlan official stepped forward, addressing the assembly. Today, we acknowledge the courage and cooperation shown by both our species. Together, we have overcome a significant challenge and taken the first step towards a future of mutual respect and collaboration.